pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oscar Coyle. Here. Collins. Here. Lee. Here. Owen. Here. Lisa Davidson. Here. Bessler. Here. Okay, so we're starting out with our District 207's Best Awards for our Fine Arts. This is always our favorite part of the meeting, where we get to recognize our students in different areas. And we're going to start with Maine East.
Actually, I'm
Or
going to
not.
refer to South because, like the family Von Trapp, Technopania is not here.
We are going to audible and look at me with the football terminology.
And you used it appropriately.
Always a bonus.
So for Achievement in the Fine Arts, this month South would like to recognize Melanie Herrengowen. So if you've seen any of our productions in any of our high schools, you know that it takes tons and tons and tons of students to put a production on. Not only from the students who are on stage, but from the students who spend hours and hours and hours and long weekends and long evenings making sure the sets look amazing, all the technical aspects, which are actually super complicated, all run. And tonight is a really special night for Maine South because Melanie is one of the behind-the-scenes persons for all of our productions. So she began her fine arts journey her freshman year when she auditioned for the fall play. She just wanted to see what it was like on and off stage. Signed up for stage crew that year, and she also started her photography career. And she's now worked her way all the way up to AP Studio Art 2D. And she, in addition to that, is our Southwest photographer. So through all of our productions, she's been somewhere. She's either been the painting crew leader, she's been the stage crew manager, she's been the technical support manager. She was one of the stage managers for our state-bound play Noise Is Off, and she helped build that set along with her older sister, who at that point was the stage manager. She's served as painting head for what was usually the second half of her sophomore year, and then she also stage managed a musical Chorus Line. During her junior year, she continued on with the painting head and managed the V show as well. And the V show, if you've seen the V shows at all three facilities, that is a tough show to manage. There's 1,000 things happening. So thank you for taking care of 1,000 things for the V show. And then also with her broadcasting experience, she started that this year and really has grown to love it. If you were able to see Shakespeare in Love, which was amazing last month, Melanie did a great job with that too. Also taking on many roles there. She's an officer in our Thespian Society. She's the vice president and on the board for Empower, which is our feminism and human rights club at Maine South. It's one of our most active. And she's also a member of the photography club. So just a ton of stuff that she does behind the scenes. So it's nice that we can recognize her work this evening. So Jeff Downey, her AP physics teacher, said, "She's a sweet and kind individual that continually demonstrates all the positive qualities of Hawk Pride that we hope for at Maine South. In addition, Melanie always comes to class prepared, willing to participate, and with a smile on her face. I have always enjoyed her positive personality, which is infectious, and her positivity spreads throughout the classroom. I expect great things from Melanie in the future and wish her all the best." Her advanced TV and film production and broadcasting teacher, Mr. Strom, says Melanie is in broadcasting last year, is taking advanced TV film this year. She is not only a wonderful student to have in class, but she is also a major asset. In broadcasting last year, she immediately took on a leadership role, helping younger students by modeling appropriate behavior and excellent effort on class projects and assignments. Her dedication to her studies shows in her work often being at or near the top of the class in quality of projects. This doesn't just automatically happen for Melanie. She puts in the hard work to realize her results, coming in and working before and after school, and during her lunch period to ensure that her work is up to her standards. In advanced TV this year, Melanie is thriving in a creatively driven environment, applying the skills she learned last year and letting them grow, all while producing work that is very compelling to watch. Ms. Sauer, the V-Show director at Maine South, says Melanie worked as the V-Show stage manager last year, and she was fantastic. She is very motivated and frequently took care of things before I even asked her to. She is the kind of leader that anticipates potential issues and plans for solutions. Melanie is also incredibly kind. She is a worker and she gets things done, but she also does so with a heart of gold. For this reason, she has her peers' respect and also their loyalty. This year, Melanie is the V-Show student director, and she is organized, proactive, and always fun to be around. She has a great sense of humor. Mary Lee Moore, Melanie's photography and AP studio art teacher, says Melanie always volunteers for opportunities in the art department, whether it's for photographing at events, hanging at an art show, or peer coaching a student in the classroom. She's always stepping up. She's participating in a photo internship through the district this year. She's also been an active member and leader in Photo Club, leading activities and getting students involved in participating in school-wide clubs and activities. For her AP portfolio, she is exploring her Philippine, Spanish, and American history. She was always able to obtain vintage family photos and to seamlessly combine them in works of art, which helps her explore her identity. It's awesome. I greatly enjoy watching her develop her ideas. Melanie has a joyful disposition, which is infectious and lifts others up around her. Mr. Pat Sanchez, our Fine Arts Technical Director, says, Melanie started doing stage crew her freshman year. Since then, she has led the painting crew as a crew lead, and she has been assistant stage manager and stage manager. She was part of the all-state crew for Into the Heights. She is highly active on crew and one of my right-hand people. She has always been involved in the resurrection of Maine South Theatrical Technicians Guild, and she's a true leader and a marvelous person to work with. Her talent and art has made her an asset to production at Maine South. And finally, Carolyn Keith, our Fine Arts Department Chair, says, if there is someone who crosses all areas of the fine arts and is truly deserving of being deemed 207's best for fine arts, it is Melanie. Melanie is a quadruple threat, as she is active in every program at the Fine Arts Department. She is not just a participant in these areas, but she is a leader. Whether Melanie is stage managing, photographing, shooting B-roll footage, on air with WMTH radio, or singing in a choir, Melanie is executing her talents in a professional and exciting way. Melanie is a staple in the department that students look up to, and she leads by example in everything she does. We are so proud to recognize Melanie this month as 207's Best for the Fine Arts. So Melanie, congratulations. Who is here with you this evening?
Today I have my parents with me, and I have my technical director, Mr. Sanchez, and his wife, and the whole family.
All right. And what are your plans for next year?
Next year I plan on going to college to study social work and maybe minoring in child development and criminal.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Absolutely, happy to do that. I'm very pleased to introduce our 207's Best from Maine East, Mr. Kevin Opena. So I would describe Kevin as sort of an old soul who has been absolutely instrumental in his lived experience for the past 3.5 years, certainly in fine arts, but Maine East as a whole. Outstanding scholar and has taken very, very rigorous course of study throughout, so kind of wonder what he's doing in addition to fine arts this year. He's currently enrolled in AP English Lit and Comp, multivariable calculus, differential equations, AP Bio, AP Spanish Language. He's in Wind Ensemble, which is kind of a whole life in and of itself and everything they do, and has actually become a member of the chamber choir. And I had a chance to converse a little bit. Actually, I think he's finding his voice quite literally in terms of musicking. So as an accomplished instrumentalist, people kind of say, well, you're kind of a band guy, but I think he's really becoming very, very interested in finding some things that he's really resonating with him in terms of singing. As a senior PE leader in the past, he's been in AP everything academically, plus AP music theory. So he's been pretty serious about his studies in that regard. Last year, he was one of the leaders in the first ever year for our All-In Choir, which our new now second year choir director, Kate Lee, initiated, which is, again, just a pretty amazing group. Not only what they do musically, but just in terms of heart. I don't know that we would find any other organization at Maine East that exhibits such passion and heart for what they do. And Kevin was really instrumental last year as a student leader. Again, kind of quietly going about doing what he does to help others excel. He's also been very active in the Triumph Music Honor Society, Spanish Honor Society. He's a member of Rotary Interact, Novus Club. Ed Eubank sort of summed up very clearly kind of everything that he has done in music. And while this is a relatively brief sort of write-up in a paragraph, each one of these things could just be a volume in terms of what he has done, what it's meant in his relationships with others. But over his time at Maine East, he's been selected 3 times to the ILMEA, Illinois Music Educators District 7 Honor Band as a bassoonist, which is no small feat because there are a lot of really, really good bassoonists in this area and it's highly competitive. So 3 times in District 7 is a big deal. He's also earned a seat in the Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra. Again, very, very highly competitive. He's been a Blue Regiment drum major. He also plays in the Wind Ensemble and Jazz Band. He's a member of the Chamber Choir and Audacity and Blue, our a cappella choir. He was in the first group of student leaders for All In Choir, played a lead role last year in Newsies. He's also a gifted keyboard player who's been named to 2 Illinois Theater Festival All-State Pit Orchestras on piano and keyboard. He's a leader in the V-Show Pit Combo, is always ready and eager to support other students' show acts. Short, Kevin is a musician's musician. Kate Lee offered up, said, Kevin Opeña is a versatile musician and a humble leader. Despite his obvious success in the fine arts, he does not come off as someone who realizes the extent of his talents. He often says that he is a jack of all trades, master of none, which shows not only his growth mindset, but also his humility. And for that record, I would argue that he is a master of all. Perhaps the most admirable thing about Kevin is that despite his heavy involvement in leadership in the performing arts, he also shines through his rigorous academic course load and achievement and his participation in the varsity boys volleyball team. He's also a beloved peer in the Maine East community, as shown by his homecoming court nominations, and I understand he was one heck of a participant in the Mr. Demon competition. He's not only a great representative of the fine arts program, but of Maine East high school as a whole. Heartily recommend Kevin for 207's best. Mr. Beckwith, who has joined us this year as our Director of Bands, I can kind of relate to Andrew's experience coming in brand new, and the band is sort of its own culture. I wouldn't say subculture, but nothing sub about it, but it's its own culture. I think when you're trying to come in and respect what has come before you and kind of the traditions and what goes on, a senior leader like Kevin is incredibly valuable. So Andrew, again, having had only a few months to work with him, understands that he's been an amazing drum major for the marching band. Has had a chance now that we're finally getting into what I refer to as real music, once we're getting back inside now, to really kind of see what his chops are and what he's able to do. And he's just been very, very complimentary and appreciative of everything that Kevin's done. Outside the fine arts department, consistently teachers are saying the same thing. John Collegia, who's a PE teacher and is varsity coach, said Kevin serves our PE community as a leader. I appreciate his efforts in working, connecting with freshman students. He continuously encourages students, doesn't hesitate to challenge them to strive to be better. He's also involved in the varsity volleyball program at East, is having a great high school experience by being involved in many branches of Maine East. Those who team up with Kevin should be grateful to work with such a hardworking and kind young man. Judy Tyler, AP bio teacher, said Kevin is an interested and enthusiastic learner, is passionate about biology and asks awesome questions to get to the heart of concepts. He works extremely well in cooperative groups and is a joy to have in class. And she said, as a side note, he was a great Mr. Demon in the last year. Owen Dope teaches AP US History, said in APUSH, Kevin achieved a very high level and maintained a joyful enthusiasm toward AP US History throughout the year. Workload in any AP class can be daunting, but Kevin achieved at the highest levels and maintained an extremely positive spirit. In fact, he almost had a smile on his face. He seemed to really shine in Socratic seminars, cooperative activities, and role-play debates. Based on his performance in APUSH, Kevin Opeña proved himself to be an outstanding student, as well as a talented and joyful young man. Mark Dobner, AP math teacher for a number of classes, same sort of thing. Said, I'm happy to hear Kevin's been nominated. He's a fantastic kid. As a math teacher, I'm happy to add that Kevin is a very strong student, wonderful young man. He's taken many of the most challenging classes offered at our school and has thrived academically, all the while maintaining very active in fine arts and extracurricular activities. His pride in his work and commitment to excellence are clearly apparent and greatly appreciated. I also impressed with Kevin's pleasant demeanor, positive attitude, maturity, and eagerness to help others. Truly represents all that's best at our school. And then Teresa Bonifazzi, our lead teacher in PE, kind of, again, as she frequently does on these things, just put a bow on it here. Said Kevin is a dedicated student who believes in helping others. He's an extremely humble person who values hard work, physical wellness, demonstrates enormous talent. He's one of a kind. It's rewarding to see such a well-rounded individual represent so many programs here at East. He's a versatile student who leads by example, shines every step of the way. Again, Kevin has been, he kind of hangs with some large personalities, and he's a quiet, very strong, very dedicated, committed leader, and he's going to need some big shoes to fill. Congratulations. Proud of you.
My mom, Maria Peña, and my dad, Mauricio Peña, and then my choir teacher, Miss Lee, and my band teacher, Mr. Beckwith. So the plan for next year is to go into music education along with performance, and I have many teachers who are helping me right now, along with me, Mr. Presley, Dr. Presley. Thank you so much.
So I am happy to note that Logan Culversh is Maine West's nominee for the role. In our interview, I asked Logan about her plans for the future, and she declared that she wants to major in choral education and become a voice teacher, because as she put it, I'll always have my voice with me. And I thought that was such a clear statement of what was obviously true in our conversation. Beyond the literal import of those words, through her passion and her dedication to artistic expression in several media, Logan has surely found her voice, and based on our conversation, I believe she will indeed always have it with her and use it well. Logan invoked Victor Hugo to help me understand why you want to devote your life to music. Music expresses that which cannot be said, and on which it is impossible to be silent. And that seemed such a perfect epigraph for what I would say about Logan today. She's impressed her teachers in this way. They cite her leadership, her courage, her openness. His wisdom said that Logan knows who she is and moves through the world with the understanding that it's up to others whether or not they accept her. What others think of her is not her concern. She is lovely and thoughtful and will no doubt bring much joy, love, and acceptance to the world. Mr. Godleski cited Logan's reliability in including everyone in team-building activities and her willingness to get outside her comfort zone in things like rappelling and climbing. Ms. Monty Pang noted that Logan is a class leader in kinesthetics and helps build community and kinesthetic memory exercises. From these teachers, I could easily see that Logan is a student who will speak for others. And perhaps that's the finest way to use one's voice. Logan is focused on teaching voice because her voice teachers have had such an impact on how she learned about hers and how to use it. She loves and admires the versatility and adaptability of the human voice, even noting that her other instrument, the viola, is closest to it in its register. She expanded her expression in music to drama and broadcasting as well. That makes you 4 for 4 in the performing arts, which I thought, why not take up photo or painting time from the table. In her dedication to artistic expression, Logan honed the skills of a storyteller, going beneath the surface to learn more, see more, express more through her art. For example, Logan highlighted for me what she learned about Shostakovich and his 8 Quartet, which is dedicated to the memory of victims of fascism and war. And she described how the composition reflected that context. And with Logan, the art, the artist, and the artistic context were all part of the story she shared with me. Ms. Orr, her broadcasting teacher, highlighted Logan's storytelling and filmmaking, noting that she's working on a public service announcement to tell the story of a young high school student who finds her joy in the drama classroom. Mr. Schiffer calls her a role model in choir, and Ms. Valdez praised her ability to apply feedback and her generosity with the classmates. Mr. Herman, noting Logan's strong moral compass and passion for justice, that's a quote, calls her, quote, a true creative warrior eager to use her voice to bring about positive changes wherever they're needed. As I read his words, I recalled how Logan described to me that she felt connected to the character she portrayed in each in Mr. Harmon's productions, filling each role so fully she might embody each character's story. I asked her if her favorite, Wednesday Addams, was still in her. Yes, she replied emphatically. In her characters, she found voices that harmonized with her own in their questioning, their independence, their willingness to challenge what is with a better story of what could be. We will always need Logan Culver. So, on behalf of the Maine West High School faculty and staff, I'm thrilled to present this honor for fine arts to Logan Culver, who truly represents 207.
With you tonight.
I have my entire family, my dad, my brother, my sister, my mom, my brother's girlfriend, and also my orchestra director, Ms. Valdez, and my finance department chair, Mr. Barnett, is also here.
How about plans for next year?
Like Dr. McMahon said, I plan to study music education, specifically choral education at the high school level.
We just continue to be so impressed by all of our students, the diversity of their talents and their passions, and we are so honored to honor you tonight. We're going to ask you to stay. We have some additional special awards that we would love for all of you to stay for the next couple minutes, and then we'll let you depart at that time, but we want you to stay and hear some important awards that we have.
So it was like when we honor our teaching staff, after we honor our students, we always like to have the students stay so they can hear about the teachers and the wonderful, wonderful things that they do to help serve our students. We see our students here, and as Paula said, it's the highlight of our month to see our students honored, but the behind-the-scenes things and often in front of the scenes things that our teachers do, our educators do, I think are what provides the compelling education here in District 207 that we're very, very proud of. So we had this year at the Illinois State Board of Education, those who excel awards, we had 5 District 207 staff members awarded. So if those 5, I don't see Claudia, but I see 4. If you were on that list, stand up real quick. And I'm going to announce all of you. Now, Claudia couldn't make it tonight, but first, Tom Kaiser, our career technical education educator from Maine East, was in the exemplary, the meritorious category for teachers. Tom has been here before. You will recognize him, and not just for his awesome beard. You will recognize him because he was one of the co-creators of the Algebra to the Manufacturing class that we've had a video that's gotten thousands of views already. And in that video, Tom talks about the thing that makes him a very special teacher, and that is the value of learning from mistakes. And that really embodies the essence of what we try to do here in District 207, I think as well or better than anybody, and Tom really does embody that. Next with us, sorry about that, I need y'all to up. Tim Spiegel, I'm going to go ahead and flip to you then, since you're still standing. Tim is our counselor from Maine South High School, and he was honored for his outstanding work in our Career and College Advisement Program. And having worked with Tim for many, many, many years, and having known many families whose children have had the privilege of working with Tim, I've heard countless stories of the good work that he's done. Just a little aside, Tim has also been on our Community Advisory Council for all 10 years of his existence, so I've gotten to know Tim as well in that way. So Tim Spiegel from Maine South, and then finally from Maine West High School, we've got 2 of our 3 Ascend members. We've got Tim Papa George and Nate Hassman. Dr. Claudia Alvarez is missing tonight. But Ascend is a program that was begun a few years ago. Tim was instrumental in starting that program along with Claudia and Nate now. And Ascend is a program that we really, really tailored to take students who maybe have not had opportunities to go into our most challenging courses and help them be successful in those courses to really ascend in their academic career, to hopefully ascend in their life. That's what the design of everything we do is really about. It's about having a great high school experience, but design thinking is really about how to help someone ascend to the very best version of themselves after they leave our schools. And Nate and Tim, we're so very proud of you. We're so very proud of all four of you. You guys can see I have wonderful awards for you. You're all come up here. Let's give them all we have this one, Dr. McMahon, make sure we get this back. Come back up, guys. Our other board members want to shake your hands.
Congratulations.
This side, everybody clap.
Oh, yeah. Again, it is such an honor not only to work with such great students, but as Ken shared, these outstanding teachers that we had that lead the way. And we are so appreciative of each and every one of you. So, congratulations. And it's not a coincidence, 3 of the 4 that were here tonight lived on the same block as me. So I don't know, there's something on Lincoln Avenue. It's really significant. But I moved away, so I don't know.
Two more quick things. First, I want to recognize our own Greg Dietz, who has just been elected the Director of Professional Development for the American Association of Employment in Education, as well as he has just won the 2019-2020 Outstanding Contributor Award. So let's give it And then one more important thing. Now, those muffins are special. So bundt cakes, yes, there we go. So you'll notice in front of each of the board members tonight, we have these really awesome coffee mugs that I love. And they each have a personal bundt cake courtesy of Jimmy Edwards. But that's in recognition of National School Board Day, which is November 15th. Since this is the time that we'll really see everybody together, prior to November 15th, we wanted to recognize our board members tonight. Everything that you see happen here, the work that we do with our students, the way that we support our teachers, the compelling education that happens in our schools which multiply in the last few years have been recognized as among the most innovative in America. That work does not happen without the people sitting up at this board in ways that most people in the community can't even begin to imagine. We've gotten on this journey, we've continued on this journey in changing how school looks for our students. That's not an easy journey. Everybody wants to change until you actually start changing. We've changed here, we've grown here, we continue to grow, and more importantly, we've set the foundation for continuing to grow and gain capacity. That does not happen without a great Board of Education. And we have, in my estimation, as good a Board of Education as any public school district in America does. So join me in thanking the wonderful, wonderful people we've got sitting up here on our Board of Education.
And I think this is what you call community, right? And we have an excellent community in District 207. So for all of you who are sitting out there, now's your chance to go take photographs with your family and your part. You're more than welcome to stay throughout the duration of the meeting, but probably want to go take pictures. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Congratulations to you. Congratulations. Congratulations. You want something to eat? I'll go pick something. Yeah, right. Right. Well, Tortorelli's got a fundraiser. Oh, tonight? Yeah. Yes. I got it. See what time I get out here. Yeah.
I got here right before there was I was stuck behind 3 trains.
Here's a copy for you.
Sitting there for about 10-15 minutes.
You been on the trains? Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. George is still enamored with that
George.
play.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's just part of it.
Tell him I said hi.
I will, I will.
Great kid.
Yeah, so he's well, he can't wait for the next opportunity.
I wish there
So
was
I'll
an
tell him
opportunity
you
for
got
him to be at Macy's together.
We'll see what we forget about him, all right?
No hi, Victor. Excited.
Nice to see you. Congratulations.
That's the entry level. Okay.
Yeah, I love that. So,
We're going to do the Schuler Scholar update. Say that. And I'm going to move out of the way.
so we have some printouts of this that Mitch is going to pass around in case you prefer to read that way or you take notes. So my name is Carly. Hi again. I'm the school director for the Schuler program at Maine East, and this is Mitch Morgan Dunham. He is the assistant director of college counseling for all of Schuler, and Maine East is also part of his region that he supports. And he's also working directly with our seniors this year and last year. And we're glad, as always, to be back to give you an update on what we've been up to for the past year. So to start, pictured here are our freshmen, our newest group of freshmen, and then our exiting seniors from last year. As you all probably remember, our mission is to work with our scholars to help them get into and then be successful at selective colleges all across the country. And in order to achieve that mission, we work to help our scholars develop key college readiness factors, which include developing strong academic behaviors, learning strategies, academic mindsets, and more. And every time we reflect on a year, we try to reflect on our 3 key organizational goals, which are our program scale. Are we serving all of the qualified students in the school that we can? Our scholar retention. Are we keeping as many of our students in the program through the 4 years? And then our college attainment. Are those students getting into these selective liberal arts colleges, which are our target? So we're going to go through each of those very quickly. So regarding program scale, our program scale has been fairly consistent in the past few years. We are averaging taking around classes of 20, 21 or so students in our program every year as rising freshmen. This year, the number of scholars that we're starting the academic year with in total is somewhat significantly higher. So we're starting with 65 scholars this year. And the reason for that is that we had a very small exiting class and 2 pretty robust freshman sophomore classes. Regarding scholar retention, we always want to think about why scholars are being withdrawn. There are 2 main reasons, academic and self-withdrawals. We'll talk about academic in one moment. Regarding self-withdrawals, most of the reasons that we see students choose to opt out of the program relate to college goal alignment. So perhaps somewhere along their high school career, they realize that the Schuler type college path is really not the college path that they would prefer to take. Or sometimes we have students who decide, I'm really not interested in completing some of the program requirements, and so they choose to opt out. So those would be some common reasons why a student would not complete the program by self-withdrawal. When we're talking about academic withdrawals, typically that means that a student has not met our academic requirements of A's and B's over time, not just one C, but a series of times where they're not meeting that.
So we always want to pay attention to where our students are earning C grades. And this has been true for some time, and it was true again last year. It's typically STEM courses, math and physics primarily. So to address that, we continue to focus on our interventions and supports around, for example, providing one-on-one STEM coaching for our scholars, after-school study sessions on specific challenging courses, and then summer prep courses as well.
So then moving into college attainment, this is our matriculation for last year's graduating class. We had 7 graduating scholars. 1 attended Carleton, 2 at the College of Holy Cross out in Massachusetts, 1 at Notre Dame, 1 at Brandeis, 1 at Bates, and 1 at Bucknell University. Yeah, absolutely. When we think about college attainment, we don't only want to get them to these selected institutions, we also want them to be successful while they're there. We look at it in a couple different ways. So the first one, we want to make sure that those colleges and universities are financially available to them. So when we look at the average amount of non-loan aid awarded, so just gift aid, they don't have to pay that. For last year's class, those 7 scholars, it averaged at $63,189. If you really want to know kind of what that looks like, 95% of their need was met solely through gift aid, but they don't have to pay that. That's what that means. The second piece, we want to make sure that they're academically successful while they're at these institutions as well. And our scholars had an average, last year's freshman college scholars had an average of 3.5 GPA. That is consistently towards the top of the Schuler partnership programs when their scholars go on in their first year of college. And then lastly, we want to make sure they're not only getting there and being successful, but they're also graduating on time as well. So we look at the 6-year college graduation rate for our scholars, just like they do nationally, and we're going to read that chart on the right from right to left. So first, the national average for a university, 6-year graduation rate is around 60%.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
National average for which university?
For all college and universities across the United States, 6-year
You might
graduation.
want to check the data.
I will check that. Yeah, absolutely.
It's about at least 20% off. You probably have, this is from the student clearinghouse, right?
Correct.
Probably looking at liberal arts colleges similar to where your kids are, which has a higher rate.
Absolutely, I'll check that with our data guy and make sure too. But when we look at Schuler partnership schools, so those schools that we specifically partner with, college universities, that's at 83%. And then we look at Schuler overall, so that's all Schuler scholars. We graduate all Schuler scholars from college 90% within 6 years. And then Maine specifically, in our 10th year now, we have had 2 graduating college classes. We're at 100% graduation within 6 years. A little bit deeper, all of our scholars from Maine East have graduated in 4 years, save for 1 scholar who is on a 5-year program, and he's on track to graduate on time. So that will consistently be 100%.
I have a question like tuition.
Yeah.
Does that number include like tuitions or scholarships across 4 years?
Yeah, so that number is not tuition, but scholarships and grants from colleges and universities to scholars. And it is for a single year. So that's their single year, and it is guaranteed for all 4 years as long as financial situations for a family doesn't change, right? So if they don't win the lottery, then they're going to get the same amount of money. Yeah. So highlighting a couple of our alumni, and we do have a full list of alumni that Carly's going to hand out for all of our alumni who graduated last year, but just 4 of them I wanted to highlight. The first one is Alana. She graduated from MIT this year with a degree in mechanical engineering. She's now a satellite structures design engineer at Boeing. The second one is Yvonne. He majored in computer science at Claremont McKenna College out in California, and he's now working at Google as a software engineer. The next one, Daniel. He studied management science and engineering at Stanford, graduated this year, and is now an analyst at Morgan Stanley in the Global Capital Market Division. And then lastly, Joanna graduated from College of Holy Cross this year out in Massachusetts, and she is now pursuing her PhD in Slavic languages and literature at Harvard. So again, that's just 4 of our graduating scholars in this year, and you have a list of what others are going on.
Daniel was the U.S. Latino Scholar of the Year too. They were all, I think all these guys and women have been in front of us as our students of the month at one time.
When did they graduate from all?
So they all graduated from Maine East in 15.
So they just finished college last May.
And then, it's amazing, yeah. And then moving on to our goals for this upcoming year. Carly's already mentioned a bit of kind of what we're focusing on. Our first main goal for our program this year is to continue to support students in STEM courses, including the one-on-one tutoring, the after-school programming, and all those things that we're trying to do. The second one is employing and assessing practices centered on equity. So we're doing that in ways like community circles that we're incorporating into all of our programming for scholars to make sure that every time a scholar steps into the space, they feel welcome and accepted for who they are and what they're bringing to the table. And lastly, we have a goal this year of developing and implementing new tools and protocols for effective student support. That comes through in different ways, like helping scholars set individual goals for what they want to accomplish every year.
And then we also like to reflect on successes from the past year with our partnership with Macy's. We would just like to give a shout out to our dedicated counselor, Alan Ibrahimovic. He continues to be just a super key resource to us. He is a pleasure to work with. He helps us collaborate with the school and bridge any gaps that might exist. So he is key to our success in supporting scholars. We also really appreciate the strong communication and collaboration that we've had with all department chairs and teachers at Macy's. Some opportunities for the partnership in the year ahead. One small thing, our staff currently does not have the ability to take attendance at Infinite Campus yet, so we're working with administration to figure that out and iron out those kinks. We're also looking forward to attending